What would be your rationale for the Heisman, Rick?
Oh, gosh. Derrick Henry has been such a battering ram for Alabama, and they just really haven't been consistent in the throwing game, although they've kind of managed it well this last month. So I think Derrick Henry is the odds-on guy just because of the strength that he's shown. If you don't think he's the best running back, you have to admire that how strong he is with 46 and then 44 carries in about 8 days of work. That's pretty impressive. But that Christian McCaffrey put on a show for the ages the other night, and Deshaun Watson put on a big-time show in terms of the way he's led an offense that now has 9 games in a row of 500 yards or more of total offense. So it's probably those three guys, and I'd probably think that Henry's going to get the trophy.
How good is this Alabama team?
Well, minus the quarterback and the what I'd call an inability just to throw a regular pass pattern where you're not sure where the ball's going. If you take that piece away, they're fabulous. They've got everything you're looking for. They've got great-looking wide receivers. Stewart and Ridley have kind of blossomed. O.J. Howard, remember we were talking to him as a freshman phenom. Now, he's been a little inconsistent. I think it's just because he's not been featured in the offense nearly as much. They went and got this kid Mullaney from Oregon State. He's a fabulous little possession receiver. And then when you switch to the other side of the ball, that defense is as complete as any I can remember in college football. They were first in the country in rush defense, second in the country in total defense, and third in the country in scoring defense. And by the way, 1, 2, 3 stands for they're 3 deep at every position. I mean, they're phenomenal defense.
Who's the best pro prospects at quarterback?
I think Connor Cook at Michigan State. The way they play offense he's a fabulous guy. And then I like Jared Goff from Cal. I think Jared Goff has just the kind of arm that you're looking for, a Brady-esque arm that can drive the ball when you need to, but can put touch on it without having to go through any major machinations. He just kind of flips it around and can drop balls into where he wants to, and he's an unbelievable red zone thrower. He had the ability to throw back shoulders and get to the back of the line, and at the NFL level, you have to be able to put the ball where you want to in the red zone.
But have we looked at these guys coming out of college differently? The spread offenses, and it's been kind of...
there's no question. We need a halfway house for quarterbacks.
Yes.
I heard Trent Dilfer talk about this the other night, that the NFL is as bad as he can remember when a guy like Matt Hasselbeck can win 4 in a row. I know he struggled yesterday, but when you have only these old sage quarterbacks that are in their prime that are basically running things from standing still in a pocket, and no one else can come up, even blessed with great athleticism, can impact a deal because they have no idea what happens on the other side of the ball. These up-tempo offenses, Dan, are creating these guys who basically throw sweeps by throwing bubble screens and the sort, and they have all these decisions to make, but they know nothing about what's going on the opposing side of the ball in terms of coverage and how it's impacted into a pass pattern, because almost everything they do in the way of throwing a pass is a 1 to 2, or what we call a progression read, where they just look at receivers rather than what's going on with the opposing jerseys.
Talking to Rick Neuheisel from CBS Sports, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. I know we're at 4, but I know that these presidents, chancellors are getting greedy. TV is always greedy. When do we get to 8 team playoff and maybe break this contract, rip it up, and go to 8?
When the SEC and the Big Ten are out. when we get a committee that says you two are out, that's when we'll go to 8. That's where the money is. I mean, we talk about a Power 5, but truthfully, the Big Ten and the SEC are clearly the leaders in terms of revenue garnered from their television packages and so forth, and the fan interest and all that kind of stuff. Look at the Big Ten this year. I mean, we're going to get a Big Ten highlight show. We've got a Big Ten team in Michigan State in the Final Four, and then on New Year's Day, you've got a Rose Bowl with Iowa. You've got all these Michigans on a New Year's Day game, Northwestern's on a New Year's Day game.
Ohio State.
Ohio State and Notre Dame are getting another New Year's Day bid, and then the next morning we get up and we get Penn State. I mean, it is Big Ten murderers row. And by the way, for those consolation prizes, Nebraska and Minnesota, hey, don't worry that you didn't get 6 wins. You get to play too. I mean, it is a phenomenal deal for the Big Ten.
But here's the question I have is, I don't mind going to 8 teams eventually, but how do you do it and be fair to the bowl games and also these fans who have to travel or would want to travel to, they might have to travel 3 consecutive weeks after.
Well, you're exactly right. What I would do, and I had this in my mind long ago, I would have the quarterfinals all be bowl games. The quarterfinals. And how we'd get to those is with the 5 Power 5 and then the 3 at large, and I would actually secure one for a group of 5 team, just so we always have a Cinderella. I know it doesn't sound fair. They're not one of the best 8, and no one wants to share any money, but I think in terms of what captures the imagination of the American public, I would do that if I were the czar for the day.
Okay.
And then I'd have a group pick the other 2, the 2 at larges. That would find their way into the tournament. You'd have 4 bowl games that would service as the quarterfinals. Then you'd have one location that could have both games, just like they do for the Final Four for the semis, so that you wouldn't have 2 different spaces. You'd have one extravaganza for the 2 games, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, just like the basketball situation is. And then I would have the home team, the higher seed, would host the game for the final. And that way you wouldn't have to worry about traveling. Certainly there would be a home field advantage, but that team would have earned it by being the higher seed.
Before I let you go, why did USC hire Clay Helton as the full-time coach after the win against UCLA?
Stability. I don't think they saw a sexy hire out there. There was lots of talk that Chip Kelly was going to be that guy. Well, Chip Kelly had just gotten his doors blown off on Thanksgiving. I just sitting there going, you know what? Let's just hire this guy. He's doing the right things, and certainly by virtue of the win over the Bruins, it kind of calmed a lot of the folks in and around L.A. that follow the Trojans and live and die with them.
Do you agree with it?
I think it's a little risky. We'll wait and see. He fired 4 guys, including Justin Wilcox. We'll wait and see how he blossoms as a play caller. I'm hearing innuendo and rumor out there he's trying to hire his brother, who's the coordinator at Western Kentucky, to come and be the passing game guy. We'll wait and see if that's a good move. But listen, USC needs stability, and if Clay Helton offers it, and then obviously that's a good move for the Trojans.
Can we get a Rick Neuheisel song in a couple of weeks? Is that asking too much?
I've got to talk to my people at CBS. They want to say that the songs all belong to them.
Oh, Rick,
I totally agree. I was born on the Dan Patrick Show.
I'm like Simon Cowell. I nurtured you like a little bird.
You raised me. Swaddling clothes I was wearing when you found me. And listen, I have a Big Ten, just a gem coming out of the Big Ten. Just a gem on this, it wasn't just a year and a couple months ago they were given up for dead. Virginia Tech came in there and whipped Urban Meyer and his Buckeyes, and it was all but over for Jim Delaney. And look at him now. Look at him now.
Remember the classics? Remember when Rick Neuheisel came on here?
Daddy, well, he loved his dogs. My mama's family used to call them hogs. My baby sister thinks we all hate her. She thinks it's great to be a Florida Gator.
That won a Grammy.
That won a Grammy. And by the way, that sister, she was crying in her tall drink the other day with that offensive performance. But there's more to come, my friend. More still to come.
All right. I just, Colonel Tom helped Elvis Presley. I mean, I'm Colonel Tom Parker of Sports Radio trying to help you and CBS here.
You're not DP, you're TP. There you go.
Thank you, Rick. All right.
I am going to go to the top of the food chain on this one.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Great to be with you. Enjoy the bowl games.
Thank you, bud. That's Rick Neuheisel.